Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton. And on this episode, we're going to be kind of spinning the block, talking about all the AFC South teams, mainly the Tennessee Titans, because my special guest for this episode is a former Tennessee Titan tight end and someone that knows a good bit about all the things the AFC South. That would be Ben Troupe. What is going on, man?
Mike, it's always good to be on with you, man. We got to make this thing more regular, but hey, we talked about it a little bit before the show. They're getting my hopes up again, man. Which is fine. It's just I got I thought the hate that goes on with the two-tone blue boys, man. We got to do it better. Not you, Mike, but we got some people that root for the Titans, analyze the Titans. I said, y'all skip Bayless? Like, what is this? But yeah, it's good to be back on with you, sir. Good to be back on with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you said it, man. We're going to start this off with some Titans talk. And, of course, the Tennessee Titans not only changed uniforms this offseason, they changed a lot of personnel as well. Filling up their defensive back room with different pieces, filling up, of course, the defensive line with a lot of rotation pieces, as well as guys that can start for them. And on offense, they made some things happen as well. But the biggest change has got to be the coaching staff. Now, Ben, I've got to ask you about Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh definitely brings a different element than Brian Callahan did. When he found out that he was going to be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, what were your thoughts when you saw that?
I was like, the front office for the Titans is like they going for it. You think about a guy like Coach Saleh. He got a raw. Let's face it, man. He got a raw deal going to the Jets. He just did. I don't know what they expected him to do there. Goes back to San Francisco for 1 year under Kyle Shanahan. And it shows that they want to have a defensive-minded coach, but brings a swagger, brings a mentality. Coach Saleh, he seems to be a guy that understands. I understand what it's going to take to win, but he looked around and said, "I like this Cam Ward, dude." Like, what people don't say a lot about these coaches is they looking at their quarterback first. Hey, who do I think I can win with now, and who do I think I can win with in the future? But I like to hire. You got a guy that did. I don't like when the Titans hire people and you don't know anything about them. Nothing against these coordinators, which he was, but he was a former head coach, and we'll see. As you know, Mike, he can do no wrong now. He ain't played no games. Nothing has happened, but I like a guy who's familiar. I like a guy that has a lot of credibility in the National Football League, not just in San Francisco. And I like a guy that's respected. So I like the hire because, once again, he was going to get hired. You just didn't know it was going to be the Titans. And I think this AFC South has gotten really, really attractive. Take nothing away from what the Jags and Houston has done and what Indy we thought they was doing the first 8 games of the year. He said, I want to win now. How can I win now? And who can I win from? Titans, check. Cam Ward, check. So, yeah, I'm happy that the Titans got him. And like I said, we'll see what happens with him. But nothing against Coach Callahan. But come on, man. Like, when he got hired, I was like, okay. Like, it was just a total different feeling when Callahan got hired. Callahan getting hired is real similar to Brian Schottenheimer getting hired for the Dallas Cowboys. I guarantee you it wasn't a lot of other organizations with those guys' names as front runners for their head coach. So, and I think they did Cam Ward such a disservice. It's almost like Trevor Lawrence when he first came into the league. And not that they compare, but you get an Urban Meyer. If you got a coach that's not going to be around, what does that do for a quarterback who I'm not going to say his rookie year was a watch because he played really well, but he was like, dude, I got a head coach that's not even here. So I'm happy we got Coach Saleh. Like I said, I think he's respected by all the guys on the team because one thing that's not talked about either, Mike, just because you're the head coach don't mean you're going to be respected because you're the head coach, but I need to respect you as a man. And I think Coach Saleh gets respected in both levels.
Definitely does. He definitely does. And one thing that I noticed about him is he's a very large man as well. He's got to be at least 6'3". When I met him, I was like, geez, I didn't know he was this tall. But I also have to remember he was a former tight end as well, Western Michigan. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like you mentioned,
that's that. No, Mike. That's that Oh, you thought you were gonna say something to him in public? Oh no. Oh, that's him right there. Yeah. Oh, okay. What's up, coach? You know what I'm saying? Not that he's gonna be in the public a lot, but physical presence matters. And hey, man, I respect the fact that, like I said, the Titans got him. I like when you go up to him, be like, oh, okay. Oh, so it's like that? All right, coach. I ain't gonna say nothing to you, but it's all good. He got that stature. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely does. And then speaking of stature, of course, Cam Ward going into year 2, he's trying to raise his stature in the NFL among the quarterback position. And to me, he's got a better setup this year than last year. I wouldn't say perfect, but they brought in Wan'Dale Robinson. They bring in Cornell Tate in the draft. Calvin Ridley's come back this year. He chopped off his locks, man.
Yeah, I saw it.
So yeah, you got all these different players. Yeah, you got all these different additions to this team, as well as Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator. What are your thoughts on what they've done to surround Cam with some better weapons and just a deeper plethora of weapons this offseason?
It shows how much they value him. They saw what he needed in 2025, and they saw, take nothing away from Calvin Ridley, what they was like, look, either we're going to have a bona fide number 1, which I think they're going to have that in Tate, but they also said he's not going to make it running around like that. We love his heroics, but he can't develop as a quarterback, improvising every other play. Like he's great at improvising, but him sitting in the pocket. I mean, you talk about bringing getting a guy like Cornell Tate in the first round. You talk about what him and Calvin Ridley, they still got to build that bond, which I think they're going to do that. And you know this, Mike. For those of you who don't know, when a man cuts his locks, it's not got real. That is not something that happens. You don't just do that. And Calvin Ridley said, look, if I got to show y'all how serious I am, I'm going to chop my locks off, which I know he didn't come by that easily. But what I will say is, Wan'Dale Robinson, he's going to be the guy because he's a guy I think you can move around a lot and do a lot. I saw that DK said that he's learned so much from Wan'Dale. In 1 year, the Titans' weapons have gotten really, really good. Now, how they're going to gel in this offense, we got to wait and see. But I think you got a lot of different guys that can do a lot of different things, and I'm looking forward to it. I love what I saw from Cam Ward last year, but I want to see how good he can be when he don't got to improvise. When I can drop back, I can go through my reads. But the Titans went for it, man. They looked around this division and said, hey, man, we probably going to have to be led by offense this year, even though I think the defense is going to be good. But we got a quarterback that we want to be around. We need to protect this dude. And the fact that he wasn't in the running for the Rookie of the Year bothers me so bad. Because I'm like, what? Did y'all not see this young last year? If he can do what he did in 2025, Mike, and this is taking nothing away from what he had, and you add this in 2026, man, if he can't take the next step, it won't be the weapons around him. They gave him some weapons. So, and from what I hear early on, he's getting in the rock. I mean, Tate, look, I know you missed a day of practice. Younger, just keep doing what you're doing. I knew that guy was going to be the first receiver taken. That's why I don't care about no 40 times. He could have ran a 4.6. He was still going to be the number 1 receiver taken in this draft.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And, we did talk about Tate, but, he wasn't the only first round draft or the only rookie, I would say, that's potentially to make an impact for the Tennessee Titans. You have Keldrick Falk. You have Anthony Hill Jr. You have Nick Singleton, who I would say probably not going to make as big an impact because you have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears there. So one would probably have to get hurt for him to make an impact. You do have Pat Guggen, by the way, who was a very, very, very talented center. And then also, let's see, I'm missing one. You got the guard out of Arkansas as well. So you have a lot of different guys that could actually make an impact in their first year there. I really liked their draft. I thought it was one of the best drafts in the NFL this season. What did you think of the guys they just picked up and just the the difference in Mike Berganzi this draft cycle compared to the last one, and how he just jumped out there and boom, I'm gonna move up and go get this guy. Boom, oh, I'm gonna put these picks together so I can move up and go get this other guy because we need him right now.
He was aggressive, and you want to get that stigma. I know when he got hired, he was talking about being able. It was controversial when he got drafted. I mean, when he got hired because they get rid of Rand Carthon, but he was saying how like we want to draft. I mean, we want to develop, we want to retain. He got guys that's going to push guys. Like you mentioned, a lot of these guys don't have to fight for positions in this draft class, but that's what you want. You mentioned Keldrick Falk. I mean, I remember him, out of Auburn. I mean, long, 6'5", 274. You get that type of depth, 31st overall pick. What I like about all these draft picks is, though, these are going to be guys that are going to be given a shot to really get some playing time. When I say playing time, I don't mean starters. Starters can't play every play. You got to have guys that can relieve some of these guys. So what I mean, even the center that they got, what I like the most about the draft class is we got guys that, can make an impact depending on how they fit, because they got fit guys. Not, now Tate was best available. We get it. You're going to snag that. It was either going to be Tate or Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love goes 3, Tate goes 4, and we get that part. But complementary pieces is what you want in the draft. I don't need guys, Mike, I'm going to just say this. If the rookies got to start, that's not good. If I got rookies that have to start, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's not always a good thing because you're throwing them in the fire. You got guys that are going to get a chance to watch the guys in front of them, develop from the guys in front of them, and that's what I like the most about this draft is they got complementary pieces that could be contributors early, but more, 2027 or down the road. And I think because of what didn't happen or lack thereof in 2025, you had to jump out at 2026, right? They had to, because once again, you were watching this division get away from you. We're going to talk about Jacksonville. We're going to talk about Houston. And we talked about the fact that Indy was really – I don't want to let this division get so talented around me that I'm battling for 3rd or 4th place. Because 3rd and 4th in any division really don't matter. It's about how close can I get to 2nd or put pressure on the best team. And but I do like what they did. And like I said, to stand out in the draft means that these guys in the scouting department did a good job. And I was very, very impressed.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of the scouting, I agree. Anthony Hill Jr. getting him, in where they did get him, honestly, I think that was a steal of a pick, and that's more than likely a guy that's going to be starting in the middle of your defense with Cedric Gray as his Robin, eventually his Robin to his Batman. So that'll be something to watch, those two young linebackers, and just the development they can have under Robert Saleh, who's definitely had some great linebackers under his tutelage over his career.
If you can't learn under Coach Saleh at the linebacker position, at the defensive, on the defense period, it's going to be your fault. Because the one thing about Coach Saleh, he is a defensive mastermind with the guys that he's had, and I think that's another reason why that makes him such an intriguing hire is he's saying, look, I know my expertise is the defense, and I'm going to put my spin on it. I'm going to put a little sauce over there. But you got guys that were really, really talented, as you mentioned it. We talk about, Anthony Hill. You got him where you got him at. Some of these guys got drafted. To me, they had a higher draft grade, and who knows why they slipped. You never know. It's not a perfect science. But I like being young. I can deal with being young at the linebacker position with what we got on the D-line, what we got at cornerback. Because cornerback, to me, is what's such a huge need because, I think we got better there, veterans, length. And that's the thing about this defense as a whole. We know what Jeffrey Simmons is. He got a partner in crime, in John Franklin Myers. But they can't be the focal points, though. Good D linemen are only good when I got good back ends. Good back ends benefit from the front 7. And the quicker they can gel, because like I say, I don't care nothing about outside of the AFC South. You want to make some noise within it. we'll see. But yeah, Anthony Hill, when they got him, I was like, okay, scout him. Because if they don't get him, he's going to go a pick right behind him if they don't snag him. Because these draft boards are pretty similar, no matter who you are. But I did like the pickup.
Mm-hmm. Got you. Now, you did mention it, and I was going to mention it a little bit later, but let's dive into it now. The defensive backs, they added Alontae Taylor coming back home to the state of Tennessee. They added Cordell Flott, who's kind of nursing an injury right now, per Robert Saleh. Also, they have Josh Williams, cornerback out of Kansas City, that they brought in for a 2-year deal. But you add him with Marcus Harris, who actually did a pretty solid job in the slot last year, and you've got a pretty competent top 4 cornerbacks. I mean, it's night and day in my opinion, and that's to me is the biggest upgrade on this Titans defense is the cornerback room.
They got better because you got veterans, but they got long too. I mean, 6'2". You talk about Cordell. I mean, Josh Williams 6'3". Alontae coming over from the Saints. What they did to the cornerback position is they got better. They got length, but they got experience. And I think for this defensive back, especially cornerbacks, you're gonna have to have guys that are interchangeable. And I get it. I want to have these 2 solid guys on each side that are locked down. No, I want to have guys that can play in the slot. Sometimes, I mean, depending on how hybrid they can get, can a Josh Williams go back and play like a hybrid safety? I mean, 6'3". And I think with Robert Saleh, even though he's not a D coordinator, what they're going to be able to do with guys that are long, guys that have experience coming over from the Giants, coming over from Kansas City, coming over from the Saints. Hopefully you bring in, especially when you talk about, Kansas City, you bring in a mentality. So I like what they got at cornerback. I like the fact, too, like I said, I mean, Josh Williams with the Fayetteville State. Those guys play with chips on their shoulder their whole career. You know how it is, Mike, when those guys come in and say, look, man, I know that I'm a guy that's, representing HBCUs in the way that I go out there and play. But what I do like about the cornerback position is they got gritty, long, aggressive corners that is going to be in a scheme that's going to benefit. Look, when Jeffrey Simmons, what he did last year, if you can't eat, you ain't going to have to cover guys for no 5-6 seconds. That ball's coming out. You're going to get a chance to make plays. So I think that got to be – hopefully those guys are smart and aggressive because when defenses just have to be good, they don't have to be great. And I think for this Titans defense, I think they got a shot to be really, really good. We'll see what – and do you think Coach Saleh going to be able to have – his reputation is defense, man, whether he's the head coach or not. He's not going to let them be the weak link. So he went out there and got corners, man. With length, he got corners with experience, and we'll see how they gel in this new system.
Yeah, he actually is going to be the defensive coordinator. He said when he came in, he's going to be recalling the defense. So basically what's going to happen is he's going to call the defense, and Gus Bradley is going to be kind of like his lieutenant to carry out everything he needs while he has to handle some head coaching duties. So Gus Bradley is a part of this staff too, which is a former Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, the former defensive coordinator, Legion of Boom as well. So, yeah, definitely got some nice pieces in terms of coaches over there as well.
Yeah, what I appreciate about getting a Gus Bradley when you talk about Coach Saleh is he's not coming in thinking I know everything. Hey, man, whenever the head coach takes over one side of the ball, whether it's offense or defense, that's giving so much attention to one side, trusting the other side. But to have a Gus Bradley to say, hey, man, you can ease up some. Like, I get it. Because sometimes, Mike, maybe you might have a different opinion. When you do more as a head coach, it's like you're putting more pressure on yourself when that side of the ball doesn't play well. And I get it. Call the plays is a science, and not everybody can do it. But sometimes as a head coach, if I'm not mistaken, I think Sean Payton ain't calling plays this year. Coach Canales over there with Carolina ain't calling plays. Yeah, and because it's so much. When if you the CEO, like of this, you the face of this franchise as the head coach. I don't know. I'm not telling Coach Saleh what to do and what not to do, but it's probably so familiar to him. Like, look, man, I call plays on defense. I get it, but you also got to call, timeout. You also got to throw that red flag. You also got to go in the field if somebody get hurt. You also got to talk to the refs. You also got to talk to the players. You also got to do, it's a lot. So If it works out, it works out. But who am I to tell Coach Saleh what to do? It has been working for him. That's why I'm a content curator. He's a head coach. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Definitely. And to me, it just I like the makeover of the defense. You bring in a tag team partner, John Franklin Myers, that can move around as well. I mean, you got all these different pieces that can move around, and quiet as it's kept. You got to also remember he brought in Solomon Thomas, who worked with him in San Francisco and New York. He brought in a deep backup defensive tackle from the 49ers over to this team. He's brought in a bunch of pieces that he has worked with at some point in time in his career. And to go back to the Gus Bradley talk, he actually came up as a scout or a defensive assistant under Gus Bradley. So it's kind of like a reversal of roles at this point in time now. So he's bringing in the guy that taught him everything he knows, which I think is a really good thing too.
Humility is a great thing. Great thing.
Yeah, definitely. Now I'm going to put you on the spot, Ben. If you had to say how many wins the Titans would get at this point in time, what number would you say?
Man, I can see 8 depending on what happens. I can see 8. Now, when people saying stuff like 10-7 or 11, I don't see that because this division is going to be rough. Like this division is pretty freaking competitive. But 8 wins in year 1, I think is a big. And once again, and I don't celebrate losses, but Mike, it's how they look in a loss. Like it's how are you competitive in a loss or was it a blowout? And how much pressure 8 wins and how much pressure can you put on Jacksonville and Houston? Because I mean, nothing against Indy. You got Daniel Jones. I don't know if Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is more the second half of the season than the first half of the season. Take that away from Jonathan Taylor and those guys. But I just think for this Titans team, 8 wins. And here's another thing, and I'm gonna say this: can you finish 3rd and not 4th in this division? Now, obviously you want to finish 2nd or 1st, but can you not be the worst team in the division? Because that's how I'm measuring the Titans. I give them a mulligan in 2025. But no, 8 wins, competitive in this division, and how you look at losses. Because, Jeffrey Simmons he don't want to hear that rebuild stuff. He don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. He wants to win now. And for me, Cam Ward taking a quantum leap in year 2, him playing in all 17 games, and 8 wins, and because 8 wins, and depending on what the conference, division winner does. And hey, because like I say, if you make the playoffs in year 1 with Saleh, there's gonna be some crazy expectations, but I think 8 wins is doable. When you got 17 games, you got to win some games you're supposed to lose, and you got to win all the games you're supposed to win. Now, I don't know what that's going to be on this schedule this year, but like I say, I think every team needs certain stuff. You got to have a head coach that you believe in, check. You got to have a quarterback that can help you win game, check. And you got to have a culture. Now, the third part is what they got to build. They got to build a culture. And that's the hardest part, I think, for any team, because culture means it doesn't matter who plays there. You're going to win. That's been Baltimore. That's been, Buffalo. That's been Kansas City. That's been, the Steelers. Can they get to that culture? How much of that culture can they build in year 1? I think that's what they're going to be working the hardest on.
Okay. All right. So, of course, there are some other teams in the division, and we do have to, take a ride on by, see what's going on. And that next team is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, of course, the big news there for a lot of people is Travis Hunter. And is he going to play both ways? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Be honest, I think he's going to play more on the offensive side, on the defensive side of the ball, and offensive side of the ball, maybe sparingly. But, one thing I noticed about him, he looks a little bit stronger this offseason. Looked like he's been in the weight room a little bit, put on a little bit of weight, which is good for him, because last year they wouldn't play him on certain games on offense or defense just because of basically his physical limitations in terms of his literal size. So Going into this season, of course, people have said more. He's going to play defense. He's kind of refuted that. James Gladstone has said, well, you don't know, and basically got on radio and not really confirmed he's playing more defense this year. So if you were the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, you had a guy named Travis Hunter that's doing all these special things, the defensive side of the ball, offensive side of the ball. What would you do with him, especially given what the Jacksonville Jaguars have at the wide receiver spot and defensive back spot?
I would definitely put him at defensive back because I think you could do more with him. He could get lost on offense because normal plays become big plays because you haven't seen him all game. Like defense can take him out of games depending on down and this, depending on alignment. And here's the thing about Travis Hunter. We've seen the experiment in 2025. Didn't work, right? We're going to try this again in 2026. When teams didn't have any film on you, they still can game plan for you. Now they got a full year on you. Trevor Lawrence not going to be a different guy, right? This scheme might switch up a little bit. And I think the thing about a guy like Travis Hunter is, how do I get the most out of this talent? Put him on defense. Because at a certain point, you got to throw at him. He ain't Deion, he ain't Darrelle Reeves. You got to throw at him. I think he could be more impactful. Will they try to put in, some type of play, a package for him? Maybe. But here's the thing that I think the reason why I was just playing with DB and not anything else. I don't want him to start get out again. I mean, Taysom Hill, they do it. He do his thing for the Saints. They're the only team that does that. No other team does that. I don't want Travis Hunter to become a gimmicky player because here's the thing: how effective can I really be when I got to play two positions? And C. Smith, Singer said the best. Look, man, they pay you. They pay you. They don't pay you to be like a gimmick, right? They pay you to be a master of your craft. He can't master two positions. That's not gonna happen. Is he athletic? Yes. Can he do a lot? Yes. But this is the National Football League. This is where the best players in the world play. Do you really think the top DB is going to let him just go out there and catch a bunch of – no. What? No, dude, I have to cover Jamar Chase. I have to cover Justin Jefferson. Sorry, Travis. You cool and everything, but no. So I put him at DB, and I'm going to see what – if you can't find ways, for come up with a game plan for him on he's gotten bigger, but he wanna, I think he got a kid now. That's that. So now he got that daddy strength sitting there with that baby. They got a little bigger, which is fine. But I put him at DB, Mike, because I just think you could do more with him. It's only so much. Travis Hunter, he's fast, but he's not a burner. Meaning, he ain't an over-the-top receiver. He's a route runner. But I could pay other guys to run a route. I want you to be an impact player. And Brian Thomas Jr., the jury's still out on him. He's looking like himself, but it is shorts and and helmets. But I think you put him at DB and you see what you can do with him at that position.
Right. All right. Now, of course, they did win the AFC South last season, contrary to the belief that some think the Houston Texans did. No, the Houston Texans did not win the division. The Jacksonville Jaguars did. Seeing that they had an opportunistic defense, they got their offense going at the right time. How do you feel about them in terms of potentially repeating in this division? I know I kind of am uneasy about that because of their history of being great one year and bad the next. But I mean, you may have a different opinion than me. But what's your thoughts, man?
I don't see them repeating. I think they hit lightning in the bottle last year. I think they started playing really, really well. I hate to say this. When Travis Hunter got hurt and it's almost like a distraction went away, they started playing football. Like they're not worried about certain stuff, and they played really, really well. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is the biggest question mark at quarterback in the NFL because when he's good, he's really good. But when he's bad, he's really bad. He doesn't have an in-between game. Like, he'll win games. I mean, you look at that Kansas City game, the way he played, I'm like, okay, they should have beat Buffalo in the playoffs, but they didn't. So because I don't really trust Trevor Lawrence, and I know that Travis, I'm going to say that Travis A-Chain, not E-Chain, it's A-Chain, or however he said it, he's moved on to the Saints.
A-Chain.
They still A-Chain. Okay, A-Chain. Yes, I'm sorry about that, Travis. This Jaguars team is never going to lack talent. They always going to have talent. I think that Josh Hines, Allen, and, Trayvon Walker, which I was so wrong about him, they got a good team. But Trevor Lawrence is still the starter. Trevor Lawrence has never, ever been in the conversation for MVP. Trevor Lawrence has never, ever been in the conversation as a top 10 quarterback. Trevor Lawrence has never, ever been in the conversation of why the Jags are winning or why teams should fear them. So until Trevor Lawrence can show me he's the guy for real. I know he's the guy from contracts. What I don't see him repeating. I think they had a really, really good year. But repeat means I'm bringing all the guys back and I can trust everybody. I'm like you, Mike. I mean, I think they're going to be good. I definitely think they're going to be good. But winning a division, nah, I don't see them doing that.
I actually have probably less hopes than you do. I actually see them finishing third in this division.
I mean, it makes sense now. I'm not here's the thing about the Jags, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing about it. Mike, here's the thing about the Jags, right? Every year, right? The Jags have all these expectations. I don't know where they come from, though. Like, I don't know what people are talking about. Yes, you beat, the Chargers back in the day. Trevor Lawrence had like 6 picks. Yeah, 6 picks and you still beat a team in the playoffs. That means that team you playing ain't that good. But I just think the thing about this Jags team, they're so middle of the road. Like they're good enough to be real good, but they're normal enough to be ordinary. And I didn't know what to think of them last year. I'm like, what is going on with the Jags? Liam Cohen, I think he's a really good coach. Really good. But do they have what the Houston Texans have? I don't see that. No, I don't see that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I can see them finishing. And here's the thing. If they finish third, the Titans can finish third. If they can finish third, I think the Titans can threaten that. Which nothing is going to scream panic if them two-tone blue boys end up third, and you go from winning the division and going fourth. Ooh, it's going to be some panic going on in Duval County. We'll see.
Definitely. Now, of course, you did talk about Trevor Lawrence and him leading the team. We're going to get to that, but I do want to talk about the two big losses. You had Travis Achan, and you had Devin Lloyd. Both of those guys went to different teams. Both of those guys actually went to the NFC South, which I found very interesting. So in terms of both of those losses, which one do you see as the bigger loss for them, Devin Lloyd or Travis Achan?
Oh, definitely Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd, I think, was the most highly sought after linebacker, if I'm not mistaken, in free agency. At one point, now he didn't win it. At one point during the season, he was up for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, obviously, you're not going to beat Myles Garrett. Devin Lloyd is a guy that can do a lot. He can cover. Saw that in Kansas City. He can run. He can get your defensive line. He wanted to go to Carolina, so he's in Carolina right now. I mean, Travis Achan, I want to say. I'm just gonna say T.E. I don't want to mess up this man's name. I think he wanted out of Jacksonville because he got sick of having to prove himself with all these backs. Tank Bigsby, all he's like, look, man, y'all don't want me. I was hurt my rookie year, but I've been about it. He hasn't been the best player on offense. He's been the most consistent, though. He's been about as consistent as you would want in the running back position. He was like, you know what, y'all don't want me. I'll go back home. I'll go to the where I don't know nobody who played for the Saints. Chris Olave, Shep. I mean, I couldn't tell you nobody who played for the Saints. Not that I'm a Saints fan.
Still got Alvin Kamara there.
For the time being, they do though, Mike. But right now, they do. We'll see if he's on the roster week 1. But I think the Devin Lloyd is going to hurt because as nice of a tandem as Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, they rush the quarterback. They don't tackle people. They don't cover people. They don't get the defense lined up. I think Devin Lloyd is going to hurt. I really do.
Yeah, it definitely going to be interesting to see if Ventrell Miller or whoever they pick to replace him steps into that role and actually does as well as Devin Lloyd did. And the pushback you always get from Jacksonville fans when it comes to Devin Lloyd is he only did it for 1 year. So I'm like, okay, I get that when you don't want to make that rush to that judgment, but still, it creates a big hole in your defense when you lose your best linebacker. So yeah. But yeah,
They mad.
but you know,
They
you
mad. They
talked a
couldn't
little.
resign him. They mad. They couldn't resign him, and they mad. Like, oh, y'all, he only did it for 1 year. Well, yeah. I mean, in a contract year, I'm supposed to do it that year, right? I'm supposed to play my best football in a contract year. Well, don't worry about it now. He went from the AFC. Listen, he went from Jacksonville to Carolina. So now y'all can watch him make plays up there.
Yeah, well, we already talked about Trevor Lawrence and the ups and downs there, and you know, we've touched enough on that one and the belief there. So I think, you know, we definitely need to move on to the Indianapolis Colts and their myriad of issues as well going on there with them. Now, as far as the Indianapolis Colts, of course, they have Daniel Jones coming back from a fractured leg on one leg and a torn Achilles on the other. But with that, you also have a couple guys that are in contract years. That would be running back Jonathan Taylor and wide receiver Josh Downs. Both of these guys, the Colts have to think about. Of course, this offseason they had to think about Alec Pierce, who may be injured into training camp, by the way, with his ankle injury or ankle surgery he had. That came out the last day or so. But, you know, you have Josh Downs, a slot guy. He's been pretty dependable when healthy. And then you have Jonathan Taylor, who's your bell cow running back. And they have to make a decision because he's getting closer to 30. So with that being said, what is your kind of outlook for those two guys in terms of being a piece of this offense, maybe next year, maybe this year and years beyond, in terms of what the Colts have? Because, I mean, honestly, looking at the Colts, they don't have a ton of weapons offensively. They have the tight end, of course, obviously, that everyone talks about out of Penn State. We know who he is. But as far as Tyler Warren, yeah. As far as the wide receiver position, you have a number one that's coming off an ankle surgery and really has been known to be a deep threat, not necessarily run the whole route tree. You have Josh Downs, who's an underneath wide receiver. You have Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Remember that name? He's actually playing for the Colts now, and you know he kind of has spurts where he does things, but he's never been a consistent performer across the way. And then you have another guy out there too, but I mean, honestly, more of a special teams guy. But you know, just to me, the Colts wide receiver room is it's like I can't really give you great things to say about the wide receiver room there. And then of course you have Jonathan Taylor, who's you don't want him carrying the ball like 300, 400 times. You don't want him carrying it an inordinate amount of times to carry this offense. So as far as just those two guys and those two positions, I mean, do you see them there beyond this year, beyond, or are the Colts secretly hoping they don't do well in order to get more pieces?
Jonathan Taylor is probably going to be the biggest question mark because I definitely think you want him there beyond 2026. It's going to depend on how he looks and how big of a price tag is going to cost him to bring him back in 2027. I do agree. Josh Downs he's a good receiver, right? But Josh Downs benefits from guys around him. You know, you mentioned Pierce and obviously Michael Pittman is going. I don't think because you had two guys on the outside that them safeties had to give a lot of attention to. He gets to work one-on-one in the slot. That's not going to be. If that was pitched off on the pup list, that's not going to be good. I do, but if I had to pick, I would go with Jonathan Taylor. I know what I'm getting with. He's a guy you can put him in any offense, and he can do well. What scares me the most about this Colts team is Tyler Warren is going to be a guy, but he's not going to win you games. Daniel Jones is good for a little while. Like, he's really, really good. He's setting records, doing things Tom Brady ain't ever done, and then he falls off a cliff. And I know he got his contract extension, but I think the scariest thing about the Colts is, what if Daniel Jones gets hurt? What are the Colts going to do if he gets hurt? Because he got hurt last year.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, Anthony Richardson, I don't know what he was doing in pregame. I don't know what he was doing. I really don't know. But you can't go into a season. Everybody knows that we're at our best if our franchise quarterback is there. But if Daniel Jones gets hurt, can they still play winning football? And the answer is we do not know. We have no clue. Jonathan Taylor knows if Daniel Jones gets hurt, you're gonna be really, really tired, sir. It's gonna be like old school football, just handing the ball off. But I would pick Jonathan Taylor over Josh Downs. I think Josh Downs is a complimentary piece. I don't think slot receivers, they are hard to come by, and he's a really, really good one. But I think you can find anybody to do what he does if he wasn't there. Jonathan Taylor, it's hard to. Jonathan Taylor, what? MVP candidate 1 year. People thought he would go for 2,000 yards. I really don't know what happened. Like, I don't know what happened. So, Jonathan Taylor's who I would pick.
Right.
Josh Downs is a good player. But if Daniel Jones, the health and right arm of Daniel Jones, which I think that says a lot about Ms. Irsay. I'm going to put the hopes and dreams of my entire franchise on the right arm and health of Daniel Jones. That's, to me, I was like, I would have gave him that 1 year deal and said, look, well, don't play. I'm not giving multiple years. So Devin Lloyd played 1 year and got his money. Daniel Jones played all right and got his money. And I think that Alec Pierce is a good receiver. I didn't know he was that good. When he got his contract, I'm like, what? And I've never counted nobody's money. I'm happy for him. But, hey, man, you got that money knowing he had to have surgery? But you know how it is, Mike. How do I look after surgery? I know how I looked before. How do I look after? He might not even be the same player, but we'll see. The Colts got a lot of problems. Not to mention Sauce Gardner. That investment ain't looking good right now. I'm just saying it ain't looking good right now. I could be wrong.
Now, the funny thing that he actually was talking to media pretty recently and said he wants quarterbacks to come at him. I'm like, Sauce, I don't know if you want to invite people to come at you. But the thing with also I'm looking at too is with Sauce has all the physical ability, but he doesn't have the footwork. That's the part that drives me crazy about watching him play. He has all the physical ability, but he does not use the technique, the footwork, things like that. If he ever tightened that up, he would actually be the best corner in the NFL. It would be no question. But because it's so loose, I can't really depend on him. And plus he guesses a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's two combinations I don't want. Bad footwork and you guess a lot.
Well, here's the thing, right? When's the last time a lockdown corner got traded by the team that drafted him? That doesn't usually go like that. Now, I get when Champ Bailey was with the Redskins, but it was a trade with him and Clinton Portis. That's how he ended up out there in Denver. But that was more of a trade. Sauce Gardner, I know the Jets got 2 first-round picks for him. I'm like you. He has all the physical gifts. Man, these receivers, they're going to do you dirty. Plus, receivers don't think you that good. Because when I'm a really, really good player on a bad team, when I was with the Jets, he was first team All-Pro, really, really good player. But when I come to the Colts, all right. I remember I played with Nami Asamoah with the Raiders. Then he went to the Eagles. It was a little different. Now, I'm not saying they forcing him to play something different than what he is, but I'm like, you might. He has the physical gifts. So them receivers like, all right, can you cover them? Because all this like, complaining to the refs, I don't think he's not gonna get the same leeway he got when he was in New York because he's looked very normal since he put on that Colts blue. We'll see. But this is setting up to be a really, really bad trade. It's still too early, but these key pieces, running back, receiver, quarterback, cornerback. I think Kenny Moore, the second, I think he asked to be released. So he don't even want to be there anymore. I don't know what's going on with this coach, but if these key free agents or big money guys ain't living up to it, Alec Pierce got paid like, shoot, Justin Jefferson. And I'm like, what? I'm just saying, that's why I'm not a GM. When I saw that, I said, man, get your money, young man. I'm not mad at him. But he's very much a one-trick pony now. He does something. He does the deep ball, he is excellent. But can you run the route tree? So we'll see, but the Colts got a lot of problems. They got a lot of problems.
Do you see them being in the 4th place team in this division? Because I certainly do at this point in time.
Yes, for this reason. They don't really have an identity. because when they came out the first 8 games, I'm like, can they maintain this pace? And they couldn't. And there's nothing about the Colts that scares you. Daniel Jones don't scare nobody. Jonathan Taylor is respected now. You respect that and what he does. Alec Pierce got paid, but he don't scare nobody. It was him and Michael Pittman and Josh Downs and Tyler Warren. Now to go from the number 2 to number 1. The only time the Colts went from the number two guy transitioned to the number 1 is when Marvin Harrison left and it was Reggie Wayne. Since then, I mean, so I thought I knew what a number 1 receiver was. And nowadays, 800 yards, double-digit touchdowns get you $30 million a year. Problem is, I'm gonna need you to get open consistently. The Colts are gonna regret. They're not gonna regret Sauce Gardner. I think they're gonna regret Daniel Jones. I think they're gonna regret that because I asked out of my contract, and the only reason why I came with the Colts is because I think I could beat out Anthony Richardson. Check. A lot of quarterbacks probably could with where he is now. That's not a compliment, though. Like, Anthony Richardson is athletic. Anthony Richardson has never played a full season since he's been in the league. So, and it's year 4? Going to year 4? Yeah. It's going to be bad. I mean, Miss Irsay, I know she was on the sideline, and, trying to, it was working, and she going to see what football is really like. Like, y'all got the blandest uniforms you ever seen in football, and now y'all going to be playing bland. It's going to be bad.
Yeah, definitely might be a bad situation. Also, keep in mind, too, Shane Steichen could be coaching for his job. Also, Chris Ballard, who has escaped being fired multiple times, is once again coaching, being a GM for his job. So could Colts fans get exactly what they want in terms of him being let go? We shall see. We shall indeed see. But, of course, got to talk about the last team in the division that we want to talk about. Of course, certainly not forgotten is the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, boy, oh boy, definitely some talk around them this season in terms of CJ Stroud, like you talked about, cutting off the locks, getting a little bit more serious. Even though you can get serious with locks, folks, because I have them too. But as far as that team, I mean, it's going to be interesting just to see what they can do. But one thing you won't really ever question is that defense. And they went out and added Reed Blankenship, and then they added a rookie defensive tackle in Caden McDonald in the draft, which I think he is going to be awesome because that's the one thing they didn't have is a young defensive tackle and a high end defensive tackle at that. Now they got one to go along with all the other things they got. How impressive is that Texans defense to you, just looking at it?
It has the potential to be the best in the league. Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter. Woo! I'm talking about Danielle Hunter has been. People don't talk about him as like a superstar, but they should. Like he doesn't talk a lot. I mean, he just goes out and gets done. He got a contract extension. This dude has been lights out since his days in Minnesota. Yeah, and then you talk about Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie. Look, CJ Stroud messed this up so bad. Like all he had to do in 2025 is just not mess it. And like Mike, I'm not saying me and you could have done what dude. Just don't mess this up. And he messed it up. And for me, that's the thing. This defense is. I mean, we talk about 2013 Seattle Seahawks good. Because they don't got no. Jalen Petrie is a guy that I think doesn't get talked about enough because he's like a hybrid safety. Not the best cover safety, but they'll put him closer to the box, can make plays against like slot receivers or tight ends. I mean, what? Montgomery comes over from freaking Detroit. I mean, Tank Dell now. I like him. But he gets hurt a lot. It's all as great as defense, it's gonna be all about CJ. And if CJ Stroud, I hate to say it, can go back to his rookie year, which is crazy to say that because him being in year 4, Houston could be dangerous because they're gonna make the playoffs. Like I think last year they showed you that even when CJ is here's the thing. I know they're good with or without CJ. They need to be good because of him. They got to be good because we know what the defense is. Will Anderson Jr., this dude is the good Lord. Like, I mean, D'Amico Ryan's come out and said, look, man, everybody got to keep him out of practice because we can't even run the plays. Like, I don't think he's supposed to say it out loud, D'Amico. It's the truth. But it's like, this Will Anderson Jr., ooh, woo, like this dude here, man, game record. But it's going to come down to the offense. And can CJ Stroud, as we keep saying this, he didn't take the next step because I don't know what happened to him in 2025. He didn't play a lot during the season. When he finally gets back, it was, oh, God. I'm like, CJ, like, what's wrong? So, hey, man, I don't know if the lock was a superpower or not. Hopefully it wasn't. I mean, he cut him off, went to a game with Bryce Young. I'm like, oh, okay. Trying to look like Bryce? Oh, you're not trying to look like Bryce? Oh, okay. But, yeah, this defense is legendary. And Mike, I don't know if you feel this way. You don't want to waste this type of defense. Like, to me, this is what the 49ers were when Fred Warner company would just dominate. Like, you couldn't move the ball on them. Now it's, and I got a Pro Bowl linebacker. I got an all-pro quarterback. I got an all-pro defensive end, outside linebacker. I got a Pro Bowl on the other side of Danielle Hunter, right? I get one of the best players in the draft for what we lacking. Still got CJ. And if CJ can be the straw that stirs the drink, hey, I don't want to say this, but the Texans, that could be the team in the AFC, not just the South, but maybe in the AFC if they can put it all together. Because Montgomery, he got tired of sharing the rock with Jahmyr Gibbs. I get it. I ain't mad at it. All right, cool. And, you got Dalton Schultz at tight end. They got a they got a nice offense, man. I mean, coming into this thing, but if CJ can put it together, and let me say this, and I hate to say, if CJ can just not look bad, they got a shot to be really good, which is crazy to say that. But this defense, man, it's a lot of quarterbacks that will not watch that Houston Texans tape, but these dudes get after it. And they don't even got blitz to do it. They front four. So, and it's gonna be. We know what they are on defense. We know what they could be on offense. But if CJ don't come to play, because fourth year and you're the second overall pick, we supposed to be talking about contract extensions the year 4. I think they picked up his 5th-year option. I think they did. I think they picked up Bryce Young's. That means
they did.
I mean,
they
now,
did.
Yeah, they picked it up. But here's the thing: pick it up means I know we got one more year that we control your rights. But ain't nothing. But one more year, that's not security. Security is when you setting the record because you're the current quarterback. Getting So we'll see. But it's gonna be a big year for CJ, no doubt.
Definitely. And of course, big year for that offense. And another thing to watch out for, like you mentioned, Tank Dell, he's kind of moving around a little bit. I'm kind of like, I'm kind of hesitant there. I want to see it game in and game out before I'm like, okay, Tank Dell is back. But they do also have Jaden Higgins and a Jalen Noel out there too. So those two guys could be active as well and do some things in their second years. That'll be, to me, the development of wide receivers outside of Nico Collins will be paramount for how this offense is. I mean, anything else I'm missing with that offense? I know the offensive line is going to be good. I mean, better.
Yeah. No, that's
not good, but they'll be better. But I don't know how good they will be. But it can't be as bad as last year.
If they are bad, if they are middle of the road, or I'm trying to give them middle of the road last year. If they look now, if the O-line look at 2026 and 2025, it don't matter if CJ take the next step. He's gonna be running for his life. We're gonna see how tough he is. And I think that's the thing about D'Amico Ryan's led teams is what his defense is. I mean, at all levels. The front, the front four, the linebackers, you talk about that back end. When it comes to a Houston-led offense, they firing offensive coordinators. It was crazy in 2025, and they're going to have to get some consistency. And if CJ can be the reason why they're consistent, and Montgomery comes over and really balances out that offense with the running game, I think they're good enough to win this division. Their team their team talent-wise, because they got veterans everywhere, and all they know is the playoffs. I mean, since Will Anderson and CJ been there, all they know is the playoffs. That says a lot. And for people out there that's saying that D'Amico Ryan's on the hot seat, stop. What are we doing? Like, come on. Like, really? The man has been to the playoffs 3 years in a row. You know how many people would love to have D'Amico Ryan as the head coach? Stop it. Stop the nonsense. The man is more than doing his job, man. We need to stop doing that. Don't say, oh, it's because they're in the AFC South. Really? No, the AFC South was really competitive last year. And, if the Colts do what I think they're going to do, they're probably going to finish fourth. I don't trust the Jacksonville Jaguars. If the two-tone Blue Boys can go from fourth to second, because Cam Ward ain't scared of nobody. That boy can get you all he got. All he got. This division, real similar to the NFC South, is going to be way more intriguing than people think it's going to be.
Definitely. Well, man, we have toured pretty much every single team in the AFC South. It's going to be a fun ride. Ben, it's also always a pleasure to have you on the show. Can you tell everyone where they can find you on social media and then all the things that you are working on?
Man, they can find me at Troupe Benjamin on X, Ben Troupe 84 on Instagram. Man, I'm just doing my content creation, man. Like you, Mike, man. Just working these airways. The winning the division on Monday nights, the fan in the end on Wednesdays, 84 Reasons. I do a podcast called The Backstory, which is about college football, like just like the players from yesteryear, not these newcomers. And coming pretty soon, man. Just being Troupe. That way, when I have Mike Patton on, I'm saying just being Mike. We can talk about everything but football. Mike, what makes Mike Patton Mike Patton? Like, you want to know the person? Yeah. Oh, you can sit back and go see and go, oh, man, I'm even talking sports all day. So I'm looking forward to that. Coming soon.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to that as well. Of course, hopefully you all enjoyed this episode of Touring the AFC South. I've been your host, Mike Patton. You can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton82. And you can also find me on Blue Sky at the same thing. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE, _general_MP. And you can find Touring the AFC South on all listening platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you can find your listening. Wherever you find your listening your material, you can find Touring the AFC South. And also you can find Touring the AFC South at the Mike Patton Network on YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Touring the AFC South. We're out.